lesson, we'll introduce what's called order of operations. But let's start off with an example. Suppose you want to evaluate 7 minus 4 plus 2. So you can go ahead, evaluate the 7 minus 4 first, and then add 2. But someone else doing this problem might first add the 4 and the 2 and subtract that from 7. Try evaluating this expression these two different ways and see what you get, or click down here to review subtraction. So 7 minus 4 is 3, and then adding 2 gives you 5. And down here, 4 plus 2 is 6, and then 7 minus 6 equals 1. So evaluating this expression two different ways gives you two different answers. And that's no good. That's why in math we have what's called an order of operations. It's a standard way of doing things so that when you write down an expression, everyone will evaluate it the same way. It turns out the answer here is 5, not 1. And that's because order of operations says to perform addition and subtraction from left to right. So you should first perform this subtraction and then perform this addition. Let's see a few more examples. Try evaluating these three expressions here using the correct order of operations. Excellent! You evaluated these expressions from left to right, and here are the answers you found. So what about other operations, like multiplication and division? Well, suppose you have this expression, 24 divided by 4 divided by 2. Just like with addition and subtraction, you should also perform multiplication and division from left to right. So first, you'd evaluate 24 divided by 4, which gives you 6. Then you have 6 divided by 2, or 3. So this expression here equals 3. Try evaluating a few more expressions with multiplication and division, working from left to right, or click over here to review these operations. Nicely done! 2 times 6 is 12, and then dividing by 3 gives you 4. And down here, 9 divided by 3 is 3, and multiplying by 5 gives you 15. Now how can you evaluate expressions that combine these operations, like this one, 3 plus 2 times 5? Well, if you work from left to right, 3 plus 2 is 5, and then multiplying by 5 gives you 25. But order of operations says this is wrong, because there's another rule. You should perform all the multiplication and division operations before adding and subtracting. So first, you should evaluate 2 times 5, which equals 10. Then you can add 3 and 10 to get 13. So this expression here actually equals 13. Yes, you should still perform these operations from left to right, but order of operations says to evaluate the multiplications and divisions first. So next, try evaluating these two expressions down here, which combine some of these operations. Excellent work! First, you divided 8 by 4 to get 2, and then 5 minus 2 equals 3. And over here, 3 times 6 is 18, and then subtracting 7 gives you 11. Next, let's look at a more complicated expression. Again, we first want to look at the multiplication and division. And this rule over here says we should perform these operations from left to right. So first up is 6 divided by 3, or 2. And then 4 times 7 is 28. Great! So now we're done with all the multiplying and dividing, and we can look at the adding and subtracting. 2 plus 28 equals 30. So it turns out that this expression here equals 30. Try another example, and if you get stuck, feel free to ask for a hint. Nicely done. That was tricky. This expression is equal to -10. Now let's return to a simpler expression. 3 plus 5 times 2. What if you wanted to indicate to someone that they really should add 3 and 5 before multiplying by 2? Well, there's a way to do that. You'd put parentheses around the 3 plus 5. In math, parentheses are a way to skip to the front of the order of operations. They mean, do this part first. So to evaluate this expression, you'd add 3 and 5 first because they're in the parentheses to get 8. Then, multiplying by 2 gives you 16. Next, try evaluating these expressions. 12 divided by 6 minus 3, where the 6 minus 3 is inside parentheses, and 9 minus 5 plus 1, where the 5 plus 1 is inside parentheses. Right, over here you first evaluated what's in the parentheses, 6 minus 3, which equals 3. Then 12 divided by 3 equals 4, which is the correct answer. And over here, first you added 5 and 1 to get 6, and then 9 minus 6 equals 3. Now, remembering all these rules for the order of operations can be tricky. One way to remember is to take the first letter of each operation, so that's P, M, D, A, S. First, you should evaluate what's in parentheses. Then, you should perform multiplication and division together from left to right. And finally, you should perform addition and subtraction from left to right. Later on, you'll learn about another operation that starts with the letter E, so the thing to remember is PEMDAS. If you remember PEMDAS, you'll know the order of operations.